After I finished my service as a lone soldier in the Israeli army, I realized this was my defining moment. It's time for me to build success, create stories, and the financial freedom that I never had before. I used to be trapped with money, and now it empowers me. Since then, I've developed a multi-million-dollar financial advisory business, a podcast that has been featured on all the global media stations around the world. One of my favorite things to do is educate people on the mindset to build resilient wealth, build success, and have fun doing it. In my show, you will not only get best-of-class tips, amazing stories, a bunch of laughs, but you'll also get a mindset shift from a family of people who have come from nothing and will help you be ready to succeed. Welcome to the Resilient Riches Podcast. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Resilient Riches. Today, we're going to learn some insight about the Hasidic community, bringing the CEO of the Boro Park Community Council, Avi Greenstein. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I'm really excited for this conversation. I've gotten so many questions just to start on why is the Hasidic community, they're like this insular community. How are they so successful? How are they so wealthy? There's so many like unknown questions. So I thought let's get somebody who actually really knows and works with these people and is so involved in that community on a daily basis. First question for you, how are the Hasidim so successful?
Well, first of all, thank you, Yair, for having me here today. It actually is, I think, the first podcast that I joined. So
Exclusive.
That's pretty cool. It has to mean something to someone, right? So really, just want to establish that I am not the eminent expert on any particular, whether it's finance or others, but I'm just a guy in the community. A leader has been in the community, has been serving as the CEO of the Boro Park Jewish Community Council for the past 10 years. So I may be able to share some perspectives of interest. But just on the general question itself, the Jewish community, the Hasidic Jewish community, yes, there are quite many success stories, many, and beyond success stories, people who've just become leaders in their fields. There's also a big middle class and a big, a large class of low income earners. It's just like any other community. I think what makes us stand out in some ways is that what's intriguing is that the community is such go-getters, and this is really, hustlers, if you will, like people who just want to go out there and put themselves out there and trying to, not to take no for an answer. There's a lot of street smarts in the in the community, inherent, I think, in the structure of how people grow up. We can get a bit more into it. I could share some more perspective, but I think essentially it's just, it's important.
Yeah, it's not about what you know. It's about how you know and how you can execute on a daily basis. And when you're 24 years old and you got 3 kids at home already, and you got to just make it, and you don't have a formal education, and all of a sudden you just have to figure out how to make it in this community and in this world. But what are they actually doing? Like what jobs or what careers or what occupations and what needs are they solving?
So, I think just an all-in approach from just how to create value and how to get to the top. There's no real respect for the level entry, right? There's like, you tell me I can't do it, I will show you that I could. And so in most fields, it's like there's this level of perhaps it's connected to a certain amount of survival mode that we've kind of inherent in our culture, but there's no level entry. Like generally many of the successful people will share their pathway. There's similar pathways is that, just creating value and not taking no for an answer and kind of, using a lot of street smarts, like just getting just jumping in and going all the way. So I think another thing is you have to look at a bigger component of the community. The networking that we can see in this community is really incredible, and it serves as a huge advantage to folks in the community. There's a great book from Rabbi Daniel Lapin, Thou Shalt Prosper. It's actually the first book I read on the topic of wealth. I found that book fascinating. Dave Ramsey promotes this book strongly. The 10 Commandments to Making Money, Why Jews Have Historically been wealthy in throughout the diaspora, throughout the exile, throughout all the countries that we've been at. There's a lot of interesting foundations that he attempts to talk about and to share to the curious world. One of the strong points he points out is this level of just coming together, community. There's so many opportunities inherent in the culture of the community is this coming togetherness, whether it's 3 times a day davening, the minyan, or not only during the week Shabbos. There's so many celebrations, weddings and sheva brachas and bar mitzvahs. Like I could have sometimes many a night that we have to stop by. And what that does is that creates these opportunities for people to come together and to share what they do and to create additional networking, and supporting each other in terms of the essence of community. So there's a lot of coming together in that sense, and that serves as a huge advantage. There's more to it, but I think that's...
Of course. I mean, I think it's a beautiful thing when you can share, and it's a lot of the Jewish communities. My wife is Persian, and she comes from a small sect in the Persian community called the Mashadi community, and they're extremely successful. They're not like highly educated people, but they've all figured out how to build like tremendous, not all of them, but many of them. But what they do is they find a niche, and they bring their friends and their cousins because they're all semi-related somehow. And they go, hey, come join me along this train. So they're big in the ticket business. That's like tickets, like reselling tickets. And you're talking about like, they're not making $50,000 a year. They're making millions of dollars a year reselling tickets. Some of it's a little shady, very shady, and I have my opinions on it, but they share the information. So I think it's once you find someone who wants to get to the top, then he's able to bring the other people, say, okay, well, I made $100 million doing X. I'm going to bring in these other friends of mine and my cousins and my brothers and my nephews, and they're going to make millions. So we see that, like, for example, the camera company, B&H Cameras. There's a bus from Boro Park that comes in and it has a Torah, and everybody's learning together. We have clients at Adorama Cameras, for example, and they said that Adorama Cameras, the number one salesperson in the entire country is a Satmar guy, a Hasidic guy. And we asked him, we were talking about finances. He says, well, we said to him, I said, well, when it comes to cameras, I don't know the first thing about a camera. You know all about a camera. He goes, I don't know anything about a camera. He goes, if you handed me a camera, I wouldn't know which way to look and how to take a picture with it. Because they just figured out, if I say A, you say B. If I say C, you say D, and I just make it in this world.
Yeah,
and
a lot of street smarts.
A lot of street smarts.
Right, and that's important too. And I think it's part of the education kind of upbringing is like this. Don't tell me I can't. I'll show you that I could. Mentality. It's another interesting concept we find unique about the Hasidic community, Borough Park, Williamsburg, is that there's no segregation of class in terms of income. So you'll see, on a typical block, a beautiful house of an individual who's a powerhouse, right? In the healthcare business, nursing home business, real estate business, whatnot. A couple of doors down, there'll be an individual living there in poverty. Their children grow up in the same classrooms. They play the same recess, and they go to the same camps. That serves as a huge advantage. I myself have friends, classmates that are multimillionaires. I mean, in the highest level, they're friends of mine because we were classmates. And so these are just, I think, an interesting, part of not only community coming together to support each other, which is surely a part of it, but also just simple advantages of learning where we can create value, and getting there quickly is really something. I always feel uncomfortable talking about wealth and the community because there's so many people struggling. I deal with this in a daily basis, and there's so many families struggling. And what we are talking here doesn't apply to everyone, but if you kind of look at it from a bird's eye view, these are some of the interesting perspectives.
Speaking to that, which goes to my next question. In Judaism, and obviously in Orthodox Judaism, we believe in the concept of charity, tzedakah. Yeah. What I've seen in the Hasidic community is the amount of charity that people give.
Unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. So with somebody who's making $10 million a year, he's not going, oh, well, I spent here, I spent there, and he's going to give $100,000. This guy is giving $2 to $3 million a year, and the person making $100,000 is giving $10,000 to $15,000 a year to each other. So even if somebody who's unbelievably successful and somebody who's unfortunately living in poverty, the person who's unbelievably successful has no problem helping his neighbor.
Right.
So where did that concept and how come it's so prevalent in this community when other communities don't do it?
Well, there's a lot to unpack there, but I think that there's something very special, right? Right. Inherently, growing up, our parents to ourselves, our rebbeim to ourselves, in teaching is about helping, right? Kindness. It's inherent in the Torah, and in living up to "V'ahavta l'reacha kamecha," love a fellow Jew and help and go out of your way and help another person and so on and so forth. There's also part of this conversation is the typical person. When I say people, we're talking about the Orthodox Jewish community, their relationship to money. It's a very interesting concept to understand. There really is, in a sense, there is no real understanding like financial literacy, and you see this in your field. Like people are starting to change in that. We're starting to really push in a lot of education and try to promote financial literacy. But generally, people aren't really thinking about marrying their children or thinking about retirement or thinking about just like emergency expenses and investing. There's a lot of, because of this mentality, I think there's a lot of just like getting by and just jumping through and figuring out. So when people strike it rich, they give a lot before they will think about, it's inherent in the mentality of just spending and giving and sharing, and not really looking from a practical perspective, but rather of God blessed me with this money, I can help others. And so it's a very special thing, but it's also something that has to be, I think as a community, as a family, there has to be a lot more of, I don't want to put a shortstop on that. We will continue being, and people will continue giving, but there also has to be a level of furthering financial education, financial literacy, budgeting for the typical person, because it kind of goes into that. But yeah, it's kind of, we share because we have and we can and we need to give, and it's part of us.
Yeah, it's really amazing. I mean, you're really, and I find it also the best form of charity is to help somebody find a job.
Right.
I think that's like the most
and helping
amazing.
budget
And helping,
learning.
like, yeah, and it's teaching somebody to fish instead
Yeah.
of just handing them
Yes.
a piece of salmon or whatever. I find that really deep. But the Hasidic community is a very secluded community. They live in their own world. They really talk their own language. They only talk to others. We work with some Satmar and Babov community, like members, like people in that community, and they barely even look at us as Jewish. I think it's a very funny thing, and it's unique when somebody else is actually coming in there. We actually had like conversations of Hasidic guys that would go to a female psychiatrist from Borough Park to Livingston, New Jersey, to keep the door open to do his therapy because he was just like struggling so much and suffering from such depression, and he felt so embarrassed he couldn't go to the community. Right. So people will do that. They'll find unique stances. So you have the people who are living in, number one, who are in challenging times that are also going out of the community because they need help. So what is the community addressing to people who feel there's a stigma against, let's say they do have debt, or they have mental health issues, or they're having issues in their marriage, or they're having issues with their kids who don't want to be part of the community? What is the community addressing for that where the stigma is against them?
Well, I think, we talk about community. There's families, there's individuals, right? So people within the community, of course, people are we're general, we're general part of the Kehilot, the Hasidic sects, and so on. And there's different types of dealing with, different levels of dealing with it. But I think in general, people are just trying to make it in life, and the rules are the universal rules, essentially, of putting away money, helping out another person, trying to make money. So it's there's no like short answer. I think within families, some are more receptive towards seeking help, some are less. There is a level of holding back, but I think I don't think I can answer on a specific. Every community has their level and their way of supporting themselves, their neighbors.
Yeah, I think people do try. I think the stigmas are breaking off. I think there was some negative press against the Hasidic community, and really, I didn't feel it was very warranted. Like there's, of course, there's always going to be outliers, but there's going to be outliers in every community. Yeah. So you're talking about now there's been a lot of controversy over the last 2 years since October 7th. And I think for our listeners, we get a lot of the questions of, okay, the Hasidim are the ones that are protesting anti-Israel or anti-Jewish or saying or speaking with the pro-Palestinian movement, or who are these people? I know, but I'd love for you to explain it. Who are these people, and what is the community's stance on Israel? Like, how is the relationship to the rest of the Jewish community?
So every kehila, every Hasidic court has its own rebbe and its own pathway of dealing with Zionism, dealing with pretty much anything, like how they guide their everything within the structure of the Torah and the halacha. But there's different directions to take to deal with that. And I can't speak for them. I never would attempt to speak for them. I come from Ger. Ger actually is the largest Hasidic court in Israel. We're part of the government. But certainly don't condone what many aspects, many factors of the government stands for. So there's always like that balance of, our identity and ourselves being, religious and then living our own lives and allowing others to live their lives, essentially. It's actually said, a Satmar, a Chassid once mentioned to me this, that the Satmar Rebbe once said that, I'm against Zionism because I believe that this is against halacha. This is not something that we should be doing until the coming of Messiah, Mashiach. But if any non-Jew is against Zionism, that's a cover for anti-Semitism, right? So we see a lot of those protests after October 7. We've seen a lot, even a couple of days, a day or so after October 7, right, against Israel. But my perspective was that these are total, sadly, anti-Semites. We live in very scary times. We see uptick in hate crimes all over our communities where there are visibly identifiable Jews, and Israel is just an excuse for that. So it's hurtful, but I think that's really the reality of what we have to live with, and then what we're trying to deal with.
I find it interesting how many people can't separate the difference between anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism. If a Jew, and what I'm unpacking is Jews actually can make that separation, and that's okay. And but many non-Jews actually can't make that separation. So what's going on right now in the political landscape? Obviously, you can't make a stand. You run a nonprofit. You're not in that space at all. And I want to make sure that's prefaced for everybody. But what is the community doing? Because a lot of the outsiders think that the Hasidic community is like all Mamdani because he's anti-Israel and they want to be in that camp. But I don't find it the same. Like, our friends and clients aren't in that. But like, what are the Jews standing for right now?
Oh, a couple of days before the election. And so there are some realities, right? The polls are saying what the polls are saying. And this is a situation we're in. I think we're deeply concerned that the relationship we had enjoyed with the current administration, Eric Adams, will not continue, right? We're deeply concerned about that. We've had an incredible, great relationship with the current mayor. As he stood proudly after October 7 and made these most incredible speech. This most incredible speech that was very needed, very much needed in our time. I think that it's very deeply concerning, the comments that have been made by Mamdani over the years. Beyond deeply concerning, but we are, at this point, we're going to really just wait to see how this plays out. I obviously can't, as you had mentioned, we have not endorsed and cannot endorse, but we're hoping that we will really, bring out the vote and have people really express their opinion. I think what I'm sharing with you is very clear, very no breaking news. The community is deeply concerned, but we are hoping that we'll do our part to continue to
live freely,
and to vote and to
There was, and I'll turn it over to my dad, but there was a video of Mamdani going to the Satmar like sukkah party, and that was extremely concerning for a lot of Jews. Can you shed light to that? I mean, was that an accurate display of how that community is going to, like, it was just, even I'm still confused on that.
I can't speak for anyone. Certainly not in our community. People seek out the guidance of their rabbanim, and that's how they should, deal with the current landscape. So I can only speak for myself. We are apolitical, and in that sense, there clearly is another sort of frame of mind that the reality is that we have to live and the day after the election and have our needs and our interests cared for. And so, look, I can't speak for that. I could just share that.
I do agree. There has to be, if he does win, we need to connect with him and understand and like have a say. And I think that's really important. I'm going to leave this.
Also give him an opportunity to, I mean, at this point, let's see how this plays out. He's a young guy. And again, I don't think anyone saw this coming, including him. So let's see what happens. We're doing our part. I'm pleased to say that the Boro Jewish Community Council has helped as we stand today. What is it? The 20?
Today is
23rd.
The 23rd.
23rd on Thursday. So I think we have another couple of days for the voter registration drive, final drive. We've helped register over 10,000 people.
That was 12,000.
Well, we'll see what happens in another couple of days. But we still have another few days, and there's an ongoing, tremendous on-the-ground effort to get people registered, new voters, get them engaged, get people to voice their opinions. And so our work is only getting started. But whatever happens, we are players. We are here to assist the community. We're here to assist government in connecting with the community, and it's just a wonderful community that I'm blessed to be part of, and I feel my role is here to continue doing this.
Thank God your role is here
as I can. Yeah.
How big is, last question, and I'm sorry, Dad, how big is the voting block of your community? Like, how big is the Hasidic community voting block?
The word voting block is I'm not sure how I feel about that. It's just like people generally vote for.
No, how large is it? Like, how many voters?
How many voters are within the Borough Park community? Within the Brooklyn Jewish community, I would say roughly about 150,000.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a sizable number.
Yeah, it could tilt elections.
It could tilt elections, absolutely. And how many people are typically vote? Like, how many vote? 50,000?
There'll be a much higher turnout. In June, the day of the primary was the day that people went up to the country. It was 100 degrees. It was, and generally it's a lower turnout. But in this November, there'll be a very high turnout. Again, people's interests are to their children, to their families, to their institutions, to their yeshivos. They want to be safe. They care deeply about Israel. They care about, so we are ultimately just regular people going about our day, and we don't want special interest. Rabbi Moshe Shero, he said, we don't want to be treated specially. We want to be treated fairly, treated equally.
Yep.
And for that, we will fight for.
I agree.
Thank you, Yair, for giving me 2 cents in there. It's nice to meet you. I had some further questions. First of all, I used to actually work in Williamsburg. So I used to work for a watch company on Boro Avenue, I guess it was. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It was Alliance Time. They took over a big bank, and they were a big watch company. It was exactly what you're describing. They had actually, the owner there was from Belgium, and he opened up, it was wholesale watches, and then retail watches. And he took from the community some of the women to work in the back, but it was completely segregated out. That was, the women were completely blocked off. You never could see them. That was the requirement that he had, but he made it work so that he could offer that employment. But I think one area also that you hadn't mentioned, and we do a lot of work also, and not to make it seem like it's all rosy in your community. There are people that struggle. We do a lot of financial planning, budgeting with people like you've talked about. There is a lot of credit card debt, but one thing that always comes up is that they can always go to somebody in the community and get an interest-free loan. And that is a big safety net that you're able to get. So they're able to say, "Oh, I have this credit card debt; it's $30,000, but I can go somewhere to get an interest-free loan because, according to halacha, we're not allowed to charge interest. And there are always people that are willing to give that kind of loan, and sometimes just to give it as a forgiven loan. So that makes a big difference, and just goes to state the community. But I was more interested in you didn't really talk about what your function really is in the community.
Well, thank you. Just on that previous point, it cannot be stated enough how much chesed, how much kindness is kind of wrapped around this community. It's really one of the most incredible stories about us. You can hardly think of a need that there isn't at least one, maybe even a competition of an organization to deal with it, which is also great. It's also part of the story. You can only have one. There's always, we always kind of find a way to just find ways of helping, whether it's gemachs or helping people transportation or Hatzala, Shamrim, Chaverim, it goes on and on. So it's a really incredible part, and it's a great part. And so I think that certainly helps. The safety net is huge. You will not see homeless people on the streets of Boro Park or Williamsburg. The community has a tremendous sense of taking care of one another. Where we need to grow a lot is and improve a lot is in financial literacy, helping people get back on their feet. As Yair had mentioned, helping people, the education of learning how to do things and learning how to budget. This is really incredible. So the Boro Park Jewish Community Council is an organization that is a central office in Boro Park to serve the community for people as a safety net. So people would come in, and we have incredible resources from the community and from foundations and from government. We kind of holistically try to help people, whether getting them initially on the reactive side of things. People come into us to getting them food assistance and health insurance access and immigration help and getting them a job and so on. But also on the advocacy side of things, people who are struggling with have nobody to turn to, right? So they need attorneys, they need to have advocates within government or just any other way of assistance. They just come in. Help starts with us. We try to help people in a way where they would be paying money, or it would seem they would pay money. But this is really our mission statement. Our core value, I should say, is really going above and beyond. And we have work to do, and we're continuing. This is really what we have a great staff of over 25 people working each and every day. And we just opened a brand new community center that's going to allow for new programming, like for senior programs and for vocational courses and many other courses, women workshops for mothers and nutrition and health and so on and so forth. A lot of great opportunities and areas of need that we focus on. So we have our hands full. We have a great team, and always looking to continue this work.
Are you funded privately, or is it some government help there too?
So we're roughly about 2/3 of our funding is from government contracts, and about 1/3 is from the community.
Got it.
But everything we do is 100% free.
Got it. Okay, so people can come to you, and if they need a place, because I'll tell you the truth is sometimes some of the people that we work with, they just think it's going to be like a miracle that's going to save them. Like they haven't done really any, like I remember one fellow a couple, like 2 months ago, we were talking to him. He had built on his house. He had, many children, 12 children, and it built on the house to be able to have space for everyone. But he's making $70,000 a year. So how is he going to, but I said to him, you take a look at the dollars and cents on the paper and look at what your numbers are. You have to sell your house. There's no other way out of it. No, I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe not. I kind of know. I can, it's like a day-to-day kind of thing, which is pretty, it's a different type of approach to it.
A lot of what we do is, sadly, there are certain levels of people that we're not going to be able to help in the proactive side. Like at this point, they're deep in and they need ongoing. So we'll help as best we can, as you had mentioned. Now, this could be one of the ways. But what about the younger generations, right? The people who are just getting started into the adult life. By setting them up right, by helping them get the right job, helping them budget properly, these are very important steps. We're actually starting a new program soon to be announced, on a mentorship program, which is a very, very important program. So folks, this is another example where people who have companies running certain companies for 5, 10, 15 years, and they're deep in debt. They've been running it so bad that the company is beyond being saved. But new folks going in, so we're going to set up a mentoring program with successful entrepreneurs, a mentoring, people starting off. So if the guys are going into the lead business, for instance, we would try to mentor him with a contractor who could tell, kind of either connect them in the industry or also help them avoid pitfalls and cash flow guidance and things like that. So these are we don't want to be a discouragement that there are people suffering. Yes, people are suffering, and sadly they are suffering, and we're here to help them as best we can. But part of our mission is to help educate new young adults who are starting off with the best of intentions, with so much energy, and sadly, without knowledge, can go, get themselves into some.
Yeah, education is super important. And I'll just finish off just to say that, I do think that that part is super important to get just people registered to vote, just to bring them out as you were talking. That, I live in New Jersey, so I'm not really so affected. We do come into the city a couple times a week for the office. But again, it's a real risk and a real threat to the Jewish community. I don't care what he says now, but you just need to get people out to vote, because it sounds that that's how he's gotten so far. Is just people have been not interested. They figure it'll sort itself out. Like de Blasio got elected the second time, also was just like an automatic, it seemed. Right. But it's great to meet you, and I'll turn it back to you, Yair.
True. If we have a strong voting voice, a voting base, or some call it a voting block, which I don't like that name so much. But if we have a lot of people,
assume that's the name.
People in our community, who care deeply for our community, who are ready to go out and vote, then it would certainly be a strong statement for anyone running for office that this community really stands for values, and we will only vote for people who will support and strengthen our values.
Avi, how can people find you? How can people get connected with you, get involved with your amazing initiatives? I mean, that's what's attracted me so much. You're a good friend of Michael Miller's, and we're good friends of Michael Miller's. We had him
Michael's
on the podcast.
Amazing.
Michael's amazing. He was known. I told him the other day. I said, "Yeah, there was an article written about you calling the last Jewish peacemaker was about to retire." He goes, "I don't like the retire part, but the peacemaker thing."
He's not
nice.
retired. Michael
he's very passionate that he's not retired.
We talk daily, and I hardly do a move without discussing consulting with Mike.
So Michael and I were neighbors for like 40 years at TNEC. That's how we know each other.
Yeah.
Wow. Truly amazing. So what was the question?
How can people find?
Yeah. So people can always you can log on to bpjcc.org and get involved, learn about our programs, and truly, I mean, really, long story short. I get a phone call one day from a local bank, Metropolitan Commercial Bank. I mean, there are about 20 banks on the avenue. It's incredible. It's a separate story. It could be a separate podcast about just how much business is rolling through our community. And this president of the bank was on the other, wanted to meet with me, and we had a short meeting. And in that meeting, he made a multi-million-dollar gift to the Boro JC. He sponsored the entire new center, 5,000 square feet on 13th Avenue, beautiful space, which we're outfitting now for all our new programs. This is not government. This is the community. This is people investing in the community. So it's really incredible. Like, this is an investment to all the work that we do. So I appreciate that. If people want to get involved and be part of a very special engine of good, engine of chesed, you could reach us at bpjcc.org, info@bpjcc.org. Would love to connect with anyone who wants to get involved.
And if anyone's struggling, also, your community has unbelievable resources. For anyone listening, there are places to help, and Avi's always been right there standing up for the Jewish people, and really appreciate what you're doing. It's not easy. I know you're not getting paid for this thing. Like, you're really just doing it out of the goodness of your heart, and what you're supposed to, what we do as Jews is stand up for ourselves. So we really appreciate you coming.
Helping with heart. This is what we try to do. But you can reach out to us on the website. You can see all the services we do. There are many, many services, but we're always looking to strengthen what we do and to expand what we do to help the community the best we can. But there are incredible other organizations out there. It's not just about BPJCC
on this podcast.
So many, but so we're looking forward to continuing that work. And Yair, it was really great to get to know you, and you're a great friend. Looking forward.
And thank you for coming on. I hope everybody found value today. We appreciate you, and we'll see you on the next podcast.
Thanks.
Advisory services are offered through Klyman Financial, DBA of the Partners Wealth Management, SEC Registered Investment Advisor. This podcast is provided for informational and educational purposes only. It should not be construed as investment, legal, or tax advice. The views and opinions expressed by the host and the guests are their own and do not necessarily represent those of the Partners Wealth Management or its affiliates. Any individuals or specific individuals, companies, or communities are for illustrative purposes only and do not constitute endorsements or guarantees of performance. Past performance or experiences are not indicative of future results. All investments involve risk, including the potential loss of principal. Mention of any company, product, or organization does not imply affiliation, endorsement, or recommendation by Klyman Financial and or the Partners Wealth Management.